Everyone, and thank you for joining the Nucamp Open House during this summer. Hot summer, I hope, for everyone, warm summer. And I am, hold on, I need to. Sorry, I just need to switch off my audio. All right, that's good. So I am Ludovic Forage, Chief Learning Officer at Nucamp, and today I'm really thrilled to have Zandra Kubota joining us from Hawaii, actually. Zandra is a Nucamp instructor. Zandra, are you here?
Yes, here. I'm still getting a little secondary audio there, but
Yeah, you may actually want to unmute your tabs. So if you have it playing in YouTube or Facebook, that's probably the secondary audio that you're getting. So mute your other tabs. Um,
oh,
so
thanks.
today is going to be a one of a time, actually one of a kind type of open house. I am myself in France at the moment visiting family. Zandra is in Hawaii, so you imagine the time difference. I think it's a 12 hours time difference, something like
Yep,
that.
we're international
And
here.
exactly. And so we're going to see, we're going to try to make it work. But anyway, I'm really pleased that you're all joining. And you should know that this webcast really has two parts. The very first part, we're going to explain to you, Nucamp, what we're about. It's going to take us approximately 30 minutes. And then the second part is all going to be Q&As. So I have my screen here, Zendra as well. We will be watching all your questions either on YouTube or as well on Facebook. So you can actually join from both platforms. All right, let's get going. So the very first question many people have is really, what is Nucamp? What is it about? And in the simplest terms, we are a coding bootcamp. But we are a little bit more than that, and we are also a little bit different from other coding bootcamps. The very first thing really that is precious to us is our social mission. We are a bootcamp that was really founded on the basic aspiration that all career shifters in every community should be given an opportunity to enter the digital economy. And what that means for us is we want to be where people are. So one of the key differentiator is that we're in as many cities in the US as you can imagine. And we don't really force you to actually commute to a different city or relocate or really do anything like that. So we really want to be where you as an aspiring career shifter live, and we bring to you the local experience, the local instructors and things like that. And then with that, we also aspire to be the most affordable, local, and flexible evening and weekends coding bootcamp. Most affordable, I'll talk about that a little bit more. You'll understand what we mean. We have, our tuition is actually under $2,000. Local, as I said, we really are pretty much in your city. If you're here today, it's probably because you've seen us in your city. And flexible really means that you do not need to quit your job. You do not need to take a loan and things like that. We really want to make it as easy for you to learn to be a developer and stay committed to be a developer. Now, if you're joining us, it's probably also because you've done some research and you're wondering, okay, how are you really ultimately different from all the other options? And really, we think of our model as sitting in between the online bootcamps and the traditional bootcamps. So I'll talk about the online bootcamps first. What we really appreciate about online bootcamps, 100% online bootcamps, is that they are very accessible. You can join at any time. You typically can pay a small fee. If you think of edX, Coursera, Udacity, like you're going to pay between $30 to $200 a month. And it's going to be available to you, of course, from everywhere you live. The only challenge with that is the lack of commitment and support. There's a ton of research that says that um, the completion, so like the number of students who start online and are actually able to finish and really get something out of it is just 3%. And so that's mainly because once you're online, you feel actually kind of alone, even though you're doing the same thing than thousands of other students. You don't really get a chance to collaborate or network. You don't really feel the support of a dedicated instructor. You don't really feel that you're part of a classroom and anything like that. So there's good and bad about online bootcamps. And by the way, most of the students who join us have likely experienced online bootcamps before. The other um, type of coding bootcamp are what I will call the more traditional coding bootcamps that have a campus, maybe in your city, often offer full-time immersive experiences that are actually great if you can afford to be full-time learning, and if you also have one of those coding bootcamps in your city. They also very often have a selection criteria. And so even though you may want to learn and join one of those coding bootcamps, you may not be allowed to do that. And, and then what we find is even the biggest coding bootcamp is going to be in just maximum 10, 15 cities. And obviously it's going to be the biggest cities in the US. Oftentimes it's going to be on the coasts. And so it's not for everyone. I mean, if you live in a state or in a city that is not big enough, you may actually not find a coding bootcamp there. So, but you will find us. And the cost obviously is also typically much higher. I mean, the average is $12,000 to $13,000. So again, traditional bootcamps, again, some advantages, some negatives about that. The tuition is one. The risk that you will need to take to attend one is another. And so finally, you have Nucamp. And really, we created Nucamp from the ground up to address all the negatives of traditional and online and just keep the positive. And so what we offer is a hybrid format. That means that you do not need to quit your job if you have one. You can actually learn online during the week, in the evenings or at your own pace. And then we offer a 4-hour immersive experience on Saturday mornings. What's very different as well is you're going to stay motivated at all times because you're going to be part of a classroom of 12 students that are going to be from your cities or from your region. You're going to be assigned a dedicated instructor, so one instructor for 12 students. That's going to create a very strong, positive, reinforced learning experience. And at the end of the day, it's obviously about the tuition. Our longest bootcamp of 22 weeks is $1,765, so way under $2,000. So that's very much why we think Nucamp is a model and a bootcamp that you should definitely look into and register to. Now, let me give you a little bit about our history. Nucamp was founded in 3 years ago in Washington State. We have enjoyed the presence of more than 2,000 unique students at this time. We've launched 300 bootcamps since our inception. We have 250 plus instructors that are working in the industry and delivering those bootcamps across the US for us. And on a typical week or Saturday, we deliver 80 workshops. So imagine, 4 hours workshop from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., 80 of those delivered every Saturday. And we have a great operation in place to really make sure that those workshops get great support and provide a great experience. Speaking of experience, there's an outstanding student satisfaction for what we do. If you can check us out on Course Report, on Career Karma, on SwitchUp, all those reviews are there for you. And we actually obviously encourage you to check them out because it's really coming directly from the mouth of our students. We should be passing the 500 mark in terms of number of reviews on Course Report very soon, and we'll celebrate that hopefully. Now, obviously, Nucamp was founded with the premise that we will offer an in-person experience. We really believe in the power of students and their instructors coming together at some point during their learning journey. And so typically before COVID, our students and instructor were meeting in the location in their city on that Saturday morning. With COVID, we've actually upgraded and migrated that Saturday workshop, that 4-hour workshop, to still be with 12 students, still be with your instructor, but then it's moved online. And the feedback has been tremendous. We've really rethought that workshop experience to take the best and make the best of online. I mean, we have breakout rooms, we train our instructors differently. And the good news is you can switch back to in-person when it's safe to do so. Now, if you register in one of the 35 US cities where we have an in-person operation, you'll be able to do that. Now, if you actually obviously register directly to online or another city that may not have that operations, you'll stay online. But that's pretty much where we are with COVID right now. And obviously, we're monitoring the situation closely. Now, let's talk about the 3 bootcamps that we offer to you. And Zandra will actually go into more details. We have a beginner's bootcamp. That's a 4 weeks bootcamp that's really meant to be an introduction to programming. This bootcamp is meant for individuals who've never done coding before, but do have some computer skills. So typically I have used a computer for at least more than a year. And we will really teach you the basics of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Then we have 2 more advanced bootcamps, the front end and the full stack bootcamp, that are really about preparing you to get a job in the field. The first bootcamp, 4 weeks long, will not give you enough skills to get a job as a developer, but either the front end or the full stack bootcamp will prepare you to do that in either 17 weeks or 22 weeks. And as you can tell, the tuition is, as I mentioned, very affordable here, $1,372 for the front-end web and mobile development bootcamp and $1,765 for the full-stack web and mobile development. As I said, Zandra will actually get into more details about those 3 different bootcamps.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the curriculum format and the logistics are for all the bootcamps, the 3 bootcamps that you've seen. Every week will look the same, and it will be typically from Sunday to Friday. You will learn at your own schedule online. You'll have video lectures, coding exercise, quiz, challenges. You'll chat online with your fellow classmates. And we expect you to spend anywhere between 1 to 3 hours every day learning. You still have your dedicated instructor during that time. Now, on Saturdays, as I mentioned, from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., depending on your time zone, but still, I mean, every time 9 a.m. and 1 p.m. In your time zone, you'll meet with your instructor and you'll spend most of the time working on a final assignment. That's going to be a challenging exercise that your whole classroom will work on and will be, after that, graded by your instructor. This, as I mentioned, will typically be in person, but during COVID, we offer that online. And then at the end of the week on Saturday, the next week worth of content is unlocked, and rinse and repeat. You do that again until you finish your module or your bootcamp. So the workshop location, we, again, in pre-COVID or post-COVID world, we partner with co-working locations, very nice locations where students really enjoy a coffee in the morning, enjoy the environment that's bright and spacious. So great Wi-Fi as well, of course. So you can see here examples of a partnership we have with WeWork, or a more local co-working location in Sacramento called Cap City. And then I would say one of the most important element of the Nucamp experience are our instructors. They really make all the difference. Most students will actually make mention of how great their instructors were on their reviews, for example. And what you should know about our instructors is, and in a way, how different they are from typical instructors, I would say. They also do that part-time with us. And so because they do that part-time with us, they support students online during the week and then only on Saturday morning from 9 to 1 p.m. Uh, that means they're actually continuously employed in the industry. And so it's a side gig that they do. And they do that side gig because, I mean, you can see that on the bullet point here, they are passionate and excited to give back. So we really recruit instructors who are really interested in helping their community, helping the people from their community get into the field. They are also, as I said, active industry practitioners. Now, that can mean a lot of different things. That can mean that you're going to be taught by instructors who are freelancers. They have an account on Upwork, and they work with 5, 10 different companies, selling their services by the hour or per project. That could also mean that they work in a startup. And they are a developer there, on IT individual there. It could mean that they work in a more established company, like a Fortune 500 company. And we have instructors like that who come from Amazon, Starbucks, and you name it, Google, and all of that. It can also mean that those industry practitioners are actually still employed in maybe digital marketing and doing development on the side. So you really are going to be exposed to a wide variety of experiences. And that's going to help you as students because you're going to have a greater understanding of the types of careers that are possible out there. And that's really one of the key factor for really enjoying the being helped and taught by those instructors. Uh, as I mentioned, they are in your community. We hire instructors locally in the cities where we operate. And typically you will be taught by an instructor that will be from your city, or given the COVID and the fact that we're online, if it's not in your city, it will be at least in your region. So your state or something like that. So again, a great experience of the local markets and how actually to get into the job market in your city or in your region. And then they have a very rich and diverse background. And what I mean by that is some of them have a computer science degree. Some of them are 100% self-taught web developers. Some of them also have gone through a coding bootcamp and after a couple of years wanted to give back and join back to be a teacher. And again, a great variety of experiences that's going to help you figure out where you fit and where you should actually spend your energy after the bootcamp.
Mm.
Now, this is a great segue into that slide. At the end of the day, why do you want to join a coding bootcamp? Well, it's because you want to become a web developer. And you want to know if it's actually something you should be considering, if you have what it takes, and what kind of jobs are out there. So what you should really know from that is our bootcamps are teaching one programming language, JavaScript, and many different frameworks that are using JavaScript. And why is that? Well, because JavaScript is the #1 web development language 5 years in a row. So you can't go wrong, I will say, with JavaScript and learning JavaScript. The average salary for a junior web developer in the US is $70,000. It doesn't mean that's what you're going to get, but at least after a year, 18 months, 2 years, that's definitely what you should be aspiring to. And you should actually check also one of the or many blog articles that we have on the topics on our website that will really tell you more about what it means to be a JavaScript web developer. All right, this was my time to walk you through Nucamp. I'd like to ask Sandra to chime in now and talk to
Yeah.
you a little bit more about the curriculum.
All right. Thank you so much, Ludo. Yes. This is the meat and potatoes that you've been waiting to get into. What you're actually going to be learning, you're going to be with Nucamp building projects, learning by actually making things. Um, and with the end goal of having a portfolio you can show to potential employers. So, as Ludo already mentioned, the Web Fundamentals is for those we welcome to Nucamp who are totally new to web development. but still have basic computer skills. You got to be able to unzip files and upload things and basic computer skills. But you're going to learn HTML, CSS, JavaScript, which is the backbone of the internet. So wherever you go in your um, tech life after this point, these are going to serve you well. Just to put it really briefly, HTML is kind of the bones, CSS is kind of the skins, and JavaScript is kind of the muscles, which pulls and brings everything together. Then from there, you'll be ready with the basic JavaScript to go into the front end and full stack courses. So we're going to learn Bootstrap is the first course, and it is going to involve building a static website. And static in that there's really no deep interaction between the website user and changing things or actually interacting much with the site. So we call it static, and we call it responsive because the page shape responds to the uh, the container or the frame that it's in, the device that it's viewed on. Ludo put it so well many times before. If you see a site on a large screen or a projector, it's going to look one way with maybe the menu at the top and large photos. And then if you open that same site on your phone, you will see a menu that's only the size of your device size, and the photos will automatically be smaller and will rearrange themselves into a columnar shape. So that's what we call responsive, that it responds to the size of the display, basically. And Bootstrap is a framework developed by Twitter that you're going to learn, and it's super great. Um, but Bootstrap is preparing you for the next course in front end, which is the React course, which is really getting into the meat of being a web developer. And it's a very challenging course. Then you're going to be building a project of your own, and it's going to be a dynamic website. It's different from static in that the user will interact with and actually change, depending on what actions they take, the site will change what's being displayed. And you'll have, logins, you'll have users uploading things, downloading things, you'll have uh, all kinds of different data going back and forth between the site and the user. And React was developed by Facebook. It's one of the top frameworks or libraries for web development. And having this in your toolbox will really boost your appeal to employers and really boost your resume. Then after the React course, you'll kind of a lot what I've heard in our Slack channels, and Slack is kind of an app which allows um, communication within an organization a little bit on a lighter level than email. And our Slack channels, our Slack chats, React is kind of where the slope gets steeper and you kind of have to really dig in and work hard in React. But once you get to a certain level in React, I hear, the lights go on and people are like, oh, okay, I'm getting it now. All right, I can do this. So once you push through React, you should really be seeing the lights coming on. And React Native is where you're going to take that dynamic, responsive website that you've made and you're going to make it into a mobile app. And this is exciting because React Native can is a tool that you can use to build for either iOS or Android platforms. And that's the great thing about React. You can have your app in either app store. And then you can, at this point, you'll be pretty employable and you should have a portfolio with a real, with a bunch of real projects, a real project that you can show to a potential employer. And if you want to continue on, you can continue on to the server side. This is the Node, Express, and MongoDB part of the course. And this gets into the back end of the website, what's going on behind the scenes, where all the data is stored, where you you do more with authentication and APIs and that sort of thing. So you'll have a full web development curriculum, and you can really call yourself a full stack developer at the end of this course. Thanks, Ludo. Maybe the next slide will go a little bit more. Here you can see some of those projects. And this is exactly what we're talking about. These are actual students. You can check these out for yourself on YouTube later. And these are actual students from Nucamp who have made projects, and they're describing the technologies that they use to build these projects. And maybe Ludo will play one of these for us so you can get a
I'll
taste.
be happy to. Yes. So
Okay.
uh, if you go to our channel, you'll find a playlist. We keep adding them. We have way more in our bank, I will say, in the backlog than what is uploading. So, but we're taking some time to do that. So let me actually play a little bit of an example here. I mean, seeing is believing, we say. Uh, I will cut it in the middle. I mean, it's 5 minutes long. I'm not going to spend it. I'm not going to show it fully right now, but you will have a taste. So let's actually do that now.
Hello, everybody. My name is Casey Cook. I'm a recent graduate of Nucamp Coding Bootcamp's front-end program, and I'm going to share with you today my portfolio project. It's called Panorama. The goal of the project was to create an application that solved the organizational need of scheduling and completing staff performance appraisals, and I'll show you the features that we use to get that done here in just a couple moments. The technology that was used to create this was React, Redux, Bootstrap, ReactStrap. I used a library called Moment for date formatting. We've got React Transition Group in there for animations, as well as React Router. The main challenge I faced when creating this application was updating state. Basically, I'll show with you here really quick my app schema. I had a couple of nested components here that I wanted to be able to update state, and of course due to the unidirectional data flow of React, we weren't really able to do that. So Redux comes in and allows any component that's highlighted in purple here to send information to the store, which then updates our state and then gives all of that updated state information back down to all of our components. So that was a really awesome learning moment for me. And I'll share with you how we delete reviews. That's actually this component here, employee info reviews, when we get to that feature here in just a few seconds. So inside the application here, we have a couple of different features. We can add employees, we can schedule reviews for existing employees. We can also view an employee info screen here that shows us past reviews, as well as scores for each of their performance areas that we're tracking, as well as a qualitative statement that kind of just sums up where they're at as far as performance goes. We have a employee roster here that allows us to delete employees if we're so inclined. And we also have this review screen, which is just a log of all of the completed reviews for all of our employees at once. Eventually, I'd love to have a filter option up here as well, but that'll have to come in the future. So let's go ahead and add an employee here, and I can show you how this works. So we just type in the employee's name, and after adding them, they're added to our roster, and they're assigned an initial score of TBD. That's because we haven't completed any reviews for them yet. So we can see no scores yet here, but if we schedule.
Okay. So you had a thanks, Ludo. That was actually a very good clip to show. You skipped to the action part. So you see the actual student who started from where you are and was able to build a complex app like that. And this is something you're going to do. You might look at that student's desktop and say, "Oh my goodness, the screen looks like Star Trek or something. Wow, I don't know if I could do that." But you are going to start from the basics and progress to the point where your desktop is going to look very similar to that. So I think we can go to the next slide, perhaps. Okay, great. And this is how you can actually get to that. This is the schedule. And it's very good now. They've got the labels on for showing you which courses are full, so you don't have to ask or worry about if you're going to actually get in there or not. If a bootcamp you see when you go to nucamp.co is full, you can just select the next one that starts 5 weeks later, and your boot camps are guaranteed to start. So if you see that your class is full, don't worry again, and you just want to register for the class that's in your city or your area. The reason is you want to, as Ludo brought out, you want to network, you want to interface with your instructor. When we do return to face, you're going to want to be face with your um, cohort, your classmates, and your instructor, who's going to introduce you to the tech scene in your city, and who's going to perhaps be able to introduce you to other folks in your local industry, which is great. And you don't want to register for a class that's outside of your time zone, also, because that's going to give you issues with scheduling, and again, you're not going to have that same local feel. So we want to avoid that and really try to register in your local community. And don't forget about the early bird deadline, which is coming up in a few days, which is August 10th. And if you do miss that one, don't worry, don't freak out, because you're still going to have um, the next chance to sign up for the next course. And you can still sign up. You'll just have to pay the full price. But if you set a reminder in your phone, or go and register after your questions are satisfied here, you can get in before August 10th. And I think we can take the next slide. Okay, and scholarships. This is great. This is something fairly new. So you guys are joining at a good time. And we're working with Career Karma, and we're very pleased to be part of the Reskill America laptop initiative. So there's a scholarship involved there, and also help getting a laptop for you to code on. If that's a problem for you, you can go to nucamp.co and click on scholarships to find out more. Also, for high school graduates who don't know what to do next, actually, this is a great time to get into coding, and they should definitely click on that for the fall semester coming up. Um, Again, go to nucamp.co, and there's more information there on that for high schoolers. And we could have the next slide if I've covered that thoroughly. Okay, student testimonials. This is fun. So this is a good little selection of um, students who give their experience, and these are from the heart, and these are real experiences. We often wonder, how can this, such value be delivered at this price point? And this is the proof that's there. You can go for yourself and check out a lot of these testimonials at Course Report, and get more background information, and really see the really positive impact that Nucamp is having on a lot of communities. And I think it's great that something like this is actually available. Ludo, did you have any comment on that one?
No, it's really great to hear you say that, Zendra. It's coming from the heart. It's so you should know that every 5 weeks we have a bootcamp ending, and every 5 weeks we see new students going online and providing their reviews. And that's probably for me the best moment in a new camp day, to read all those new reviews and seeing how pleased they have been. And as I said earlier, very often they want to mention the instructor, right? So someone like Zendra in Hawaii, and you'll see students saying Zendra was amazing. She was really there to help me, and that's really what people appreciate in what we offer, is the focus on your local community, your local instructors, and the support that you get from people who are, to be honest with you, not necessarily doing that for the money, right? They do that because they want to help. And so it's a really, really great feeling. Not this, actually, I will end on this slide, and I think right after that, we're going to go to the Q&A. You can also connect with alumni. I mean, it's very important, we know, for people to really understand what happens next. Once you finish your bootcamp, how do you get a job? Do you get a job? How do you network? I've seen in the chat that people are talking about networking. Well, the alumni group is a great way to start. You can follow the link that you see here on the screen, and you'll see who's doing what. And I won't actually go through that list, but it's a really nice also testimonial of the impact that we have. So that's pretty much it for the presentation portion of our webcast. What we typically like to do now is we're going to switch off the share, and we're going to just be on camera, Zendra and myself, and we're going to go through your questions on YouTube. So for any question, please type them on YouTube, and Facebook as well. And we'll just pick one or two alternatively, and we'll provide the answer. So let me actually go through the list right now on YouTube. And the very first question at the top from Casa de Virgilio is, if someone has a slow learning disability, would you still be able to help them with the coding class course? So there's a twofold answer to that question. The very first one is, our courses still, very much follow a set schedule, right? So we expect you to learn at a certain pace and be ready for the Saturday workshop and things like that. But, and that's a very important but, we allow you to retake that course if you need to do that. We allow you to pause also the bootcamp for some weeks if you need to do that. So between those two, I think it kind of gives a good balance of, you can actually follow the structured path when you're comfortable doing that. But then if you feel like you're getting behind, you can pause, you can retake. That gives you actually a breathing room to handle your learning, given to the point of that question, given the disability that that is experienced at that level. Zandra, do you see a question that you would like to take here?
Yes, I saw a question from Robert White on Facebook, and he said, my typing speed is horrendous. Oh man, I can totally sympathize with you, fam. Is that something I should improve before pursuing this career path? And that's super great that you considered that in advance, because you have time to prepare now. If you sign up for the course and you spend a week or so in prep, you can use free resources. We were just actually discussing that with a student. Typing.com, keybr.com, typing.io. Without endorsing specifically any of these products, there's many resources out there that you can use to boost on your typing. And I, depending on how much you work on it and where you're starting at, I think you could work on that before the fundamentals course starts. Um, or if you're going, assume you're going to fundamentals, you can work on that before the course starts.
Yeah, that's great, Sandra. I will add something to that effect, which is how much you should know about computers. And we're actually seeing more and more students coming to us with very little background in what we will call computer literacy. And we are really thrilled to have them coming, but it's also sometimes challenging for instructors to really go to the very basics of using a computer. Using a mouse, creating files, managing folders. So you really will want to learn those aspects of computers before joining a bootcamp. Just like typing, you want to have a decent typing speed in order to join and be, I would say, just happy with the whole experience, right? If you are not prepared enough, you're going to be disappointed because you will not feel like you're able to absorb the new knowledge because you have so much other things, more basics to learn before. So I would just mention that. I just want to say hi. I saw Oh, and it's gone from the Facebook feed, but I think I saw Sean, who's a student, um, and has already provided his feedback. We're starting to see on those open houses more and more students and current instructors joining and sharing their perspective. And really, of course, we appreciate that. So thank you, Sean, for joining. And I saw also instructors chiming in on YouTube. So thanks for that. Uh, Frankie is asking on Facebook, should I use Udemy or Free Code Camp to prep before joining Nucamp? It's absolutely something that we would encourage you to do. We find that the people who've spent a little bit of time online and have really kind of been curious about that online, they're going to really have a little bit better understanding of what they're getting into. They're going to have acquired some of the basics of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And then also they're going to also understand the challenge of learning online on your own. And so I would say the best students that are really the best prepared to join Nucamp are going to be those who have been curious enough to go online, test the waters, learn a few things, and then come to us because we are seeking the additional support, the rhythm, the local experience, and things like that. Zandra, you see something you would like to take?
Yes, I see. Someone said, "How am I supposed to network?" In the YouTube chat.
Yeah.
I've lost the comment now, but they were asking about. Here we go. Rose Williams, connect. How are we supposed to connect with people in a new industry where we don't know anyone? And this goes great to what Ludo said about your local um, boot camp, your fellow students, and more perhaps for networking initially, more importantly, your instructor and everyone in our New Camp Slack channel, which is nationwide of instructors, students who have graduated, and uh, advisors who are familiar with the industry or working in the industry, or a lot of students are actually working in companies and then they make lateral or um, vertical moves in the same company once they've gained these skills. So just by entering New Camp, you will be meeting and you'll be getting code help from people in the industry and your fellow students and your senior students who've already graduated. So you'll be meeting people in the industry definitely.
Thank you, Zandra. I'm going to answer three questions here that are kind of short answers. MD Karim is asking about details about on-campus training. So two answers to that. First, Nucamp doesn't really have campuses in a traditional sense. We don't rent big buildings that will create a lot of cost and will force us to make our tuition more expensive. So what we have instead, pre or post COVID, is in-person workshops on Saturdays, and we do that in co-working spaces in most cities. So that's kind of our offer to you. If you really care about that in-person experience, we offer that on Saturdays. Again, post COVID, not during COVID. The next one is from Christine. Do you get some type of certificate at the end of the program? Yes, you get a certificate of completion at the end of each module. You get a certificate of completion at the end of your boot camp. And if you actually also do extra things during the curriculum, you will have access to what we call the owner certificate. So you will have that. Check out the LinkedIn. You'll see several students actually mentioning and posting their certificates online. And then the last question, what are the graduation requirements? It is to have submitted all weekly assignments and I've received a passing grade on those. So every Saturday you work on an assignment. They are all graded. You need to have all passing grades for those assignments to graduate.
Hmm. All right, thanks a lot, Ludo. So I see also a question here from Amanda Breton. What kind of processor speed do I need? I have a Mac, and how much storage space do I need? Excellent question. Usually, a MacBook, a regular Mac, is going to be fine, more than enough. You say you only have 14 gigabytes free storage space. I'm not sure, Ludo, if you want to chime in on this one, but
Yeah.
14
So
gigabytes. Mhm.
that sounds actually okay. I will say what we recommend, and we have a recommended list of laptops and Macs on our portal, so you definitely want to check it out. The most important is going to be your CPU speed. So if you're looking at a PC, you really want to have an Intel i5 processor or an AMD 500 or 5000, I think that's how they're called. You really want something that has really powers to compile the code and run the code. And then it's going to be the speed of your hard drive, not so much how much space you have available, but is it a solid state hard drive? And that's going to be important as well. And then the memory, I would say minimum 8 gigabyte. And so again, check out our website. We have a selection of PCs and Macs that will actually work out okay.
Mhm. Yeah, 8 gigabytes. That's better than me there. Yeah. Okay. So if you also have a Chromebook, please, you're gonna have to get something else. Unfortunately, Chromebook
Correct.
is not gonna work for you.
Yeah.
And
There's a
oh,
question from Sean Connolly. I've seen Sean asking that question a few times, so I'm going to answer it. Why MongoDB? A quick search shows that SQL has far more job opportunities than NoSQL. So MongoDB is, I would say, a newest format to store your data. It's one that is much more scalable. And I would say that you probably find a lot of job opportunities with SQL because it's the one that has been around for the most time. And so there's a lot of legacy systems that use SQL. I personally like them both. It's a kind of a different paradigm between those two, but you actually will be, I would encourage you to learn both. We just selected and decided to teach MongoDB because it's really the predominant database for modern applications that goes with React. So it's a more modern way, I would say, of storing your data and retrieving your data. But again, typical SQL databases like MySQL are great as well. And if you have the interest, definitely learn both.
okay. And I see some questions about interviews and job placement. I will touch on that, and then Ludo, you can chime in if I've missed anything. But Nucamp supports students in their job search with a 6-week career development program, which is online, and it's baked into the boot camp. Helps you work on your resume, helps you soup up your LinkedIn profile, helps with interview prep and networking. And this is included in full front end and the full stack tuition. You also get a 1 month premium membership on LinkedIn. And again, cannot overstress the value of access to the instructor community. So you will really, um, well, you will really have a lot of job search support from Nucamp.
Great. No, thank you. I'm going to take that question from Lou's Screw. Lou, I hope I didn't mess up the name. Sorry for that if I did. Does the full stack program also includes the beginner introduction? It's an important question because the answer is no. So it is expected that you will have acquired the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript skills before registering to full stack. And you can do that by signing up to the beginners bootcamp, or you can learn that online. As we said, you can go to Udemy, learn those skills. It may be easier to do it with Nucamp because then everything is kind of integrated, but up to you. Um, I saw another question from Rodriguez. Are the courses pre-recorded or are they instructor-led? So during the week, they are pre-recorded, which makes it easier because you are able to take them at your convenience on your own time. And so if you work nights, you can actually do it during the day. If you work during the day, you can do it in the evening. The Saturday morning session, though, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., that's live. And so you should be able to actually place that into your schedule for the number of weeks that you signed up.
Okay, thanks, Ludo. So I see a question from Ed Drain. And another question from Tishay93 on YouTube. Ed says, if I'm comfortable with Ubuntu, is that okay? Yes, Ubuntu. If you could develop an Ubuntu environment, I think it should be okay, Ludo. Is
Oh yeah.
Visual VS Code uh, ported for Ubuntu?
Yes, yes.
Um,
So we're using Visual Studio Code as the editor, and it is available for Linux. So you're more than fine.
yes, and your
Uh,
terminal will be fine, Bash terminal and
yes,
everything.
exactly.
Um,
Go ahead.
Okay, and let me quickly address Tisha. I don't have a lot of JavaScript experience. Is taking the beginner course necessary? If you go to nucamp.co, there is an assessment there. You can take, I think it's 25 questions, and
Correct.
you can see right away if you score about an 85 or higher, bam, good to go for the uh, full stack. If you score a little lower than 85, or if you kind of guessed a couple of questions and you still got 85, you might want to take the fundamentals because you really are going to have a bad time if you start the full stack without it.
That's right. And I will say that so out of the 4 weeks of the fundamentals bootcamp, 2 weeks are spent on JavaScript. And so it's an introduction to JavaScript, and it's a little bit more advanced JavaScript. So typically, I've had other students. In your case, you're gonna breeze through the first 2 weeks. It's gonna be very easy, HTML, CSS, easy for you, and then week 3, you're gonna be like, okay, I get it now. I'm getting into the weeds of JavaScript, and people enjoy that. So be ready for that. Breezing through the first 2 weeks and then getting more challenged.
Mhm.
Uh, Ray Messina is asking on Facebook, can you complete the front-end bootcamp and then pay the difference to take the full stack? The answer is yes, absolutely. You just pay the difference. So you can register to front-end if you're not sure that you want to do the back-end. And then at the end, or anytime really, you can upgrade to the full stack bootcamp. And yeah, we see that happening quite often.
Mm. He said, "Thank God I hate Windows." Okay, Ed, we're real happy for you, Ed.
So Ed, I'm a Microsoft dude. I spent like 18 years working at Microsoft. I'm not offended, but be careful with what you're saying, okay?
Yeah, and let's see. Uh, I see. Sorry, Ludo, did you have a question that you saw also?
No.
Oh, let me see.
Oh, there.
Rodriguez Perry. How often are the
Okay, go ahead.
instructors available since they are part-time? Yes, Rodriguez, excellent question. The instructors are available to you online during the week. Um, your instructor will let you know more details. Some give you even more contact information, um, and some of them are, working different jobs. Some are working, with corporations, but they are available to you during a certain amount of time each day during the week. So you'll be able to DM your instructor on our learning portal platform. We'll be able to Slack message them on an app called Slack, direct message, or kind of not broadcast, but kind of to your class channel. And you'll also have access to hundreds of instructors or dozens of instructors, um, depending on what time zone you're in. You'll have access to other instructors on our general channels in the Slack. So, for example, let's say you're in New York and you're up late after work. It's 11:30. Your instructor's sleep already, but you have a coding problem and you're stuck. You can post in the general Slack channel, and some instructor in Washington who's just eating dinner will be able to chime in and help you um, with your project. So you not only have access to your instructor in your locale, you have access to a bunch of different instructors who are all willing to give their time and help.
Yes, thank you. I'm going to take Isaac Kim question on cancellation. So we follow the cancellation rules dictated by the state education boards. And so typically across, and they're pretty much the same across states, you get fully reimbursed before the bootcamp starts minus a registration fee, which for us is like $30 or $100, depending on which bootcamp. Um, then if you spent less than 10%, if you completed less than 10% of the bootcamp, you get to another refund. And then it's less than 25%, you get 25% refund. Less than 50%, 50% refund. If you've completed more than 50% of the bootcamp, then there's no refund after that. And as I said, this is really dictated by state education boards, and we are pretty strictly adhering to that. The only difference I would say is we offer more flexibility. So if you think you need to cancel because you don't have the time anymore, or life happens, we actually offer you to just pause it and push it out for like a month or two, and then you resume. And that's typically not possible in any traditional bootcamp, but we really care about making it as flexible as possible.
Hmm. And Ludo, tell me if we're getting low on time, but I see two more, one from
Five
Rose.
minutes left, but yeah, go for it. We have 5 more minutes, and yeah, so let's go. Let's go.
Okay, one from Rose Williams in YouTube. What kinds of needs do educational institutions and nonprofits have for web developers, and how do salaries compare to the business for profit sector? As Ludo mentioned, it does depend on where you live, and educational institutions and nonprofits traditionally aren't able to offer the same salaries as corporate and private sector institutions. But having said that, with the current online situation kind of forcing everyone to move their learning online, and build portals, and they need a lot more development than they previously ever had. If you go to institutions like Pearson, if I don't know if you've heard of Pearson View, their jobs portal is busting now. They're hiring like crazy. Um, there's also other parts where it impacts education in terms of now needing way more developers, where with companies like Zoom coming in. Zoom went on a hiring spree with this whole COVID situation. So it's very unfortunate for the world, but it also does at the same time build big need for developers. So I hope that answers part of your question. And then T-Shay93, we did say, but just to reiterate, if you have CSS, HTML experience and not a lot of JavaScript, definitely take the Web Fundamentals course. It's a good way to find out too if you're even if you inclined towards coding, if that's something that you really want to do. It's a cheap or a low cost way and a quick way to find out in 4 weeks if you're gonna enjoy coding.
Great. Yeah. Patrick Lippert asks, since the first day is on a Monday, how does that first day look? So great question. So Monday is very much a welcoming day. And for the boot camps that you're starting, the first 2, 3 days, I will say, are pretty much making sure that you make it in, that you're set up, that you're installing all the software that you need. So it's typically the week that has the least amount of content to really allow you to ease into it. It also includes, icebreakers, making introductions, because you do join a classroom of 12 students with instructors, and we really care about making sure that there's a social interaction and connection that happens. Um, the learning science has really proven that what makes learners more successful is the ability to connect with one another, help one another, feel part of a social learning environment. And so we really try to create that from the beginning, on Monday, the first Tuesday, the first Wednesday as well. And the first Saturday, actually, with your instructor, you also introduce yourself, you go through an icebreaker type of activity to make sure that you, you really create a solid local group learning together.
Okay, and that same questioner, you can go back and watch this recording to find out more about the computer requirements. That's also at our website too.
Yeah.
Someone asked G Fernandez, I'm 43 years old. Am I too late to be a software engineer? And no, I'm here to tell you I may look dashing and young, but I'm not. So I started very late in life without going into details. Um, but you can do it. It is if it's something that you've never been interested in computers before, and then you just see an ad for a job or a boot camp, and you say, "Oh, I want to get into web development." You might want to take a step back and reflect. Have I ever been interested in tech at all up until this point? Is that something my personality is inclined to do? I would definitely say take the web fundamentals course, because that will teach you,
Yeah.
that will let you know right away, oh, okay, this is not for me, or hey, this is great, I can do this. Either way, you're going to find out without investing thousands of dollars. You'll find out if this is something you want to do.
All right. And one last, I think, from Omar Bliss, is there a syllabus available? The answer is yes. And actually, it's pretty easy to get. If you click interested on any of our bootcamp, so you'll see that you go to nucamp.co, you're going to see the bootcamps, you're going to click interested in one of them, probably the one that's coming up. You're going to get the syllabus in your email after a few days. So you'll get all 3 syllabus this way. All right, it's time, Zandra. That was great. I really enjoyed. Thank you for joining.
That was really
I think we should
fun.
do it again. Yes. Thank you everyone for joining. You can reach out to us on our website. There's a chat window. These are not bots or robots, actually real people. You may get to speak to Zandra as well, maybe, or Luis or Miguel. But really, again, don't forget, August 10th is the last day of our early bird for this coming cohort in August. So if you register before that, you'll have the built-in discount, I will say. After that, you don't, but then you can register to 5 weeks later in September and still get the discount. So again, thank you so much. It was great, and have a great summer. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.